Hello, everyone. Welcome to Web3 Marketing Podcast. We're doing an amazing episode today. We're going to be talking about Web3 community building, and we're going to be talking about communities and a real example of community because we have here with us Kashvi, community lead from a super iconic project. I know most of you know this project. It's World of Women. Kashvi, hi. It's really nice to have you here.
Hi, hi. Thank you for having me on, Dasha. So grateful to be here and to chat about all things community building.
Awesome. Thank you so much for coming. So, today we have two goals. Goal number one is to help all community builders or founders who are running their communities to learn from your experience as a community lead and experience of World of Women in general in building a super inclusive, very popular, huge, I think super exciting community. And the second goal is also to help everyone to discover how they can benefit from World of Women. How can they join? What you need to do for this, what you'll be able to do if you join, what are the benefits, and so on. This is going to be in the end. Welcome to Web3 Marketing Podcast. I'm Dasha, and this is our second season supported by Internet Computer. We're interviewing Web3 founders and marketing leaders from around the world. Tune in to listen to their insights and real Web3 marketing cases. So I'm super excited, and let's start with your intro. Do you mind just sharing a bit about yourself, how you joined World of Women, and what you do there now?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm Kashvi. I'm community lead at World of Women. I'm based out of Mumbai, India, and I joined Web3 2 years ago in 2021. Before working in Web3, I used to work in the creator economy. So I was a freelancer helping entrepreneurs build their personal brand. And I was also helping small businesses get on social media and leverage it to, just be more visible online. I started off like just, trying to taste different things because that's always been something that I'm passionate about. I always like keeping up with trends, eyeing cultural shifts, and finding ways to leverage them not only for myself, but the people that I'm working with. And that's kind of how I got into Web3. A bunch of my friends on Twitter that were in the creator economy started talking about it. A lot of the smarter people that I used to look up to as mentors started talking about it, and that's when I decided to start paying a little more attention. I started dedicating some time out of my day to just study the space, learn what it's about, immerse myself into communities. And I just stumbled onto World of Women because one of the influencers that I was following advised the project in its early stages. And I really used to look up to her. And when she recommended World of Women, I was like, yes, okay, I'm definitely joining this. And as soon as I joined the community, I was just there was magic about it that made me stay. Back then, it was very rare for a project to have doxed founders, to have a philanthropic mission, to have art at the core of everything that they do. And those are values that really spoke to me because it's kind of similar to how I've been raised as a kid. That these are the things that are important that you need to be mindful of. And when I saw what World of Women was doing and how passionate all the four co founders were about it, I just knew that I had to mint the project. And like on the day of the mint, one of my mentors, one of the people that I really look up to is Gary Vaynerchuk. He also joined the community and he also minted a bunch of wows. And that really validated what I was thinking at the time. And World of Women ended up being one of the communities that I was most active in because it's where I felt at home. I felt like I could be completely myself. I felt like I was in a safe space. And back then, I kept DMing the founders. I would be like, hey, why don't you get on TikTok? Why don't you go on Instagram? Let's do some fun tweets in the community. And I think after a point, they just got sick of me telling them what to do. So they were like, hey, do you want to join the team and help us do it? And that's how I joined World of Women in October 2021 as a community assistant. So, over the last 2 years, I then stepped into the role of a community manager when our second collection dropped. And very recently, I was made community lead.
Thank you for sharing the story, how you joined in such details. I think it's very can be very interesting for those who are thinking about entering the space. I came into the space myself like a year and a half ago, but through a different way than you did. You were just active on community, and I think this is number one way to get hired in Web3, even if you don't have any prior crypto experience. But I just used my network and I got recommended to a founder. But overall, the space is so accessible, to be honest, much more accessible than any other space. For example, you want to work with AI, and if you have never worked, it's very unlikely they're going to hire you, right? But Web3 is just has so many opportunities. I really, really like this.
Yeah, I think the wonderful thing about Web3 is the lack of gatekeepers. I feel like if you're showing up every day, really contributing to the communities that you're passionate about, they will eventually notice you and they will find a way to work with you in some capacity. And professional opportunities in Web3, I think, are abundant, but it takes a lot of vetting to find the right one because, you might be joining the next big unicorn, but you don't know if that culture is a right fit for you, even if they're paying you super well. So there's a lot that goes into finding a job in this space, according to me. And I consider myself really lucky to be working with Wow and to have found them at the time that I did.
Yeah, that's a great match, I guess, because you've stayed for so long. I even thought right now, like I'm managing a community besides the doing the podcast. And we have like 5K members on Discord, but I know the names of all the active members. And once we have some opportunity for them to earn, to contribute, of course, like I'm going to first of all propose it to someone who's active, even though they're like 5K people.
Exactly. The ones who show up every day are the ones that are closest to the sun, in my opinion. And the people who are closest to the suns are the ones who are going to be able to represent your brand and to be official ambassadors for them eventually. They're the ones that you're going to trust the most because they are the ones who are choosing to remove time out of their day to engage with your brand. And that makes it more likely for them to create actionable touch points with external potential community members. So, yeah.
That's true. That's true. So we encourage you all, guys, if you are passionate about some projects, go there, reach out, contribute, and most likely you will end up joining the team when they have some openings. This episode is supported by Internet Computer, and we want to tell you about their amazing Definity Grant program. We've actually received their community grant ourselves. So if you are a developer, researcher, or educator working on blockchain or AI technology, you can receive this grant too. The Affinity Grant program can give you up to $100,000 in funding, as well as support and exposure through the ICP ecosystem. You can read more about the grant in the description down below. And if you decide to apply, fill out our form. We will chat with everyone who applies and recommend the best projects to ICP. Don't miss this chance to get funding and join the community of innovators. Back to our topic about what you guys doing at World of Women. Could you please introduce the project the way you want to do it to somebody who probably never heard of you, for example, and give us maybe some numbers about the project?
World of Women is a community centric brand that celebrates representation, inclusivity, and art. We are a community of artists, creators, and builders from all over the globe. And our goal as a brand is to create as many opportunities as we can for our members to connect, grow, and thrive in a safe space. We launched back in 2021, and since then, we've put out two NFT collections, World of Women and World of Women Galaxy. Buying a WoW or a WoWG gives you access to our membership. So there's two memberships within our ecosystem, World of Women and World of Women Galaxy. World of Women is the Genesis, and Galaxy, it has a higher supply, but fewer benefits in compared to the Genesis. And currently, we have 13,000 wallets in the community. And based on internal data, we think that there's around 9 to 10,000 members.
Awesome. How many of them are active, on your socials or Discord?
On socials, well, on Twitter, we have a much larger community. So we have over 200,000 followers on Twitter, around 85,000 on Instagram, and we just crossed 60,000 members on Discord. On an average, I think the way we look at active community members is based on how many attendees we get to our Twitter spaces or how many people are chatting in Discord on a day. And these numbers tend to change a lot based on the market cycles because that's how NFT communities function. So during a bull run, we'll see a lot more engagement in our Discord. But right now, during the bear market, we see significantly lower numbers because that's just how human psychology works. You don't want to be constantly reminded of like just poor decisions related to finance in the past. Like the numbers definitely keep varying depending on where we are in the market cycle.
Awesome. So anyone can join the community, right? Not only women.
Yeah, World of Women is an inclusive community. And we mean it when we say that the type of change that WOW is looking to make, we cannot do it alone. We need allies by our side. So, World of Women is a community that's very friendly to men as well. Some of our most active supporters are men. They are dads that want to see a better future for their daughters, their husbands who want their wives to get more into tech. And it's just a really welcoming space for men. I truly believe that a lot of issues that we see in society are deeply rooted in the patriarchy, and the patriarchy also has a negative effect on men because that's how toxic masculinity comes into the picture, because there's all this pressure on men to be a certain way and to do certain things. So we like to open up a safe space for them as well.
So this is the mission, right? To open up a safe space where people can learn about Web3, understand how to benefit from it. Is there something else that I didn't mention?
World of Women want like at World of Women, our vision is to build an inclusive future. And the way we want to do that is to give our community the tools that they need to connect, grow, and thrive. Whether that means helping them make introductions with each other, helping them understand how to create content, how to organize in person events. We're just here to support them in any way that they need. I think that change can only happen if we collaborate in a meaningful way. And while we are open to everyone, I think there's a lot of subgroups within the World of Women community that you can find and be a part of. So we have sub communities for artists. There are some sub communities that are solely based on the trait of the NFT that you own. So all the wows that have a blue skin, we have like our own little group chat because, it's also while World of Women is all about your professional and personal growth, it's also a lot about just having fun and making friends on the internet, because I think that's one thing that people who are in Web3 right now really, really care about. A safe space matters not only for like deeper discussions and conversations, but also for a little bit of lightheartedness. Currently, we have a meme contest going on where our holders are just like, taking the JPEGs that they have and editing them onto memes and just having fun together. And that's an important part of community building that I think is not talked about enough in terms of like not Web3 essentially, but in terms of just online communities. There's always a way to make friends. And I think when community members really become friends with each other, that's when you know you're doing a good job at community building, right? Because that's what's going to keep people coming back.
Yeah, that's true. I completely agree. I also sometimes say that it's not a community if people don't really know each other. If they only if they interact with the brand, how is this a community, right? If they don't know each other, that doesn't make sense. So totally agree here. I really want to dive into the history, how the project appeared, what was in the early days. I know there are like other interviews and you covering this a lot, but I think it's impossible to understand how to build a community like World of Women without really understanding the path. So could you maybe briefly walk me through the history? What were the stages?
So, when we speak about the history of World of Women, although it's been only 2 years, I truly don't know where to begin because so much has happened over the last 48 months. We recently celebrated our 2 year anniversary by hosting global meetups all over the world between July 25th to July 31st. And it was a very surreal experience. But let me backtrack a little bit to 2000. World of Women started out as a vision from Yam Karkai, who is our chief creative director. She envisioned that there wasn't enough representation in the space when it came to women. Growing up, that's what she always drew. She was always passionate about art in the sense of representing women through her work. And she truly felt a lack of it when she was learning about Web3 and she was looking at PFPs on OpenSea and they were all animals and cartoons, and none of that resonated with her. So World of Women started off as Yam trying to find a place to belong and not seeing it. So she just created her own. And a lot of people resonated with it, not just regular Web3 traders and investors, but also influencers like Gary Vaynerchuk. And having them on our side has been a huge help in terms of, validating the mission that we're on and also bringing in new people to the community. Over the last 2 years, we've done iconic partnerships with brands like Billboard, Christie's. Recently, we did FC Barcelona, Cloudy Bay from LVMH. And through each and every partnership that we do, our goal is to always bring back value to our holders and to bring benefits to our community members. So when I speak about the history of World of Women, if we sit to go chronologically, this podcast is going to go on for a couple of hours because that's just how much has happened over the last 2 years. But what's important to note is that this was a vision that has come to life because our artist saw something that didn't exist in the space. And through that, she paved the way for so many of us to speak up and to create our own legacy.
Could you map out the main stages? Like the first stage, there was nothing, then the vision, and then like how the launch of the first collection happened.
Sure, I can do that. So the launch of the first collection was on July 27th, 2020, and it sold out overnight. Back then, 10K PFP projects were pretty common, but there weren't any of women. I think leading up to the launch, I wasn't a team member, but I was there as a community member. The team was doing a lot of contests. So, celebrity lookalike contests, emoji contests, sticker contests. I think there was even a lore contest last year that we did. So, the founders really just tried to do a lot of marketing to get the name out there. And then we collaborated with one influencer. Her name is Art Chick. She was one of the very few female crypto influencers at the time that we partnered with in order to get the word out there about the mint. And we ended up minting overnight because I think so out of 10,000, we hit 1,000 and it was going pretty slow. But then Gary Vee came in and minted like 40 wows. And after that, a lot of love and support poured in from his side of the community and also the general Web3 community. Because at the time, there was a thing where it's like, okay, if Gary Vee is minting something, I'm going to mint it too. And that's how we launched our first Genesis collection. I joined the team 2 or 3 months after that happened. And the point at which I joined the team was when we were finding ways to engage the community that we had already built and trying to manage their expectations. Because when you sell out overnight and you know, you raise a lot of funds, you get a lot of influencers on board. There's all of a sudden all these expectations on you that like, hey, they have to do this, they have to do that. And my role initially was just compiling all the suggestions, all the feedback, getting back to our community members, telling them what we're thinking, giving them insights into our roadmap. And we launched our second roadmap in November 2021. And we decided to launch our second NFT collection in March 2022, which is World of Women Galaxy. After we, I think 6 months into WoW's launch, we realized that like we needed to grow our ecosystem beyond the 10,000 NFTs that we had. We had to grow our community and we saw the perfect opportunity to do it through the WoW G collection because while the Genesis collection is always something that's going to be special to Yam, WoW Galaxy is a more fun and galactic take on what she originally built out. And she's always been passionate about that galaxy aesthetic in terms of art. And for us as well, like WoW G was all about bringing new people into the community and creating a more affordable price point to the WoW membership. Because we've always said that we're all about inclusivity, but a lot of people in Web3 were priced out of World of Women at the time, given that we were in a bull market. And we're really glad that it happened. We learned a lot through the WoW G launch. We launched 22,222 NFTs. Every WoW Genesis holder got to claim one for free. We had a very limited allow list at the time. And then we also had a Dutch auction for the remaining 10,000 NFTs. So that's how the community was built. It was overnight ish, but not technically, because when what I've realized in the last 1 year is that having a lot of people join you over the course of like a very short time is it's not a bad way to build community, but it's definitely chaotic. And sometimes you don't see it coming. So, as a community manager, I've learned a lot through both of these jobs. Our team has learned a lot. And we're really grateful to have patient and understanding community members by our side who really understand what we do and the mission that we're trying to accomplish here at World of Women.
If you compare the launches of like both collections, did you make any changes in your own internal processes when you were launching the second collection?
Absolutely. So when we were launching the second collection, I think we doubled down on a lot of the things that worked with the first collection. So in terms of contests, in terms of, collaborating with influencers, creating a very clear offer of what you get when you buy that NFT. There were a lot of good things that we did during our Genesis launch that we tripled down on. But at the same time, I think we learned a lot more through the second drop in compared to the first one, because when we did the first drop, we were converting an audience into a community. But when we did the second drop, we were fostering the existing community and also growing it, like onboarding more people into it. So when you're onboarding more people into it, you have to think about the sentiment that's in the existing community. And when you talk to those people, you learn a lot more. And we still talk about the WowG launch and some of the mistakes that we made and how we've grown from them. I think one of the things that we've learned a lot is to build more in public and to communicate how we're thinking and to communicate what's next for the project a lot more in comparison to how we used to do it. So it's definitely a lot of interesting learnings along the way.
How much of building in public you think is enough?
So currently at World of Women, we're doing it monthly and also just sporadically when things pop up. Our format is that we have a town hall and a Medium article go out every single month where community members can come in, ask their questions. It's a very open ended forum. Our leaders also prepare a deck or like a list of talking points that they want to communicate. But we also have a weekly newsletter that goes out for those who are extremely engaged with Wow. It's just that a lot of our community does not have the time to tune in on a daily or a weekly basis. So we like to keep the monthly format. But at the same time, if you go to our Discord, there is an open channel called Builders Corner. And under Builders Corner, we have different aspects of the project that community members can contribute towards. So, one of the most exciting ones that's coming up is Patio, a community platform that we're building to serve the WoW community and to foster meaningful connections between artists, creators, and builders. If anyone listening to this podcast wants to contribute to it, please join our Discord and check out the Patio channel. And similarly, we also have channels for different things like, if someone wants to run a contest in the community, if someone wants to start a business using their WoW, someone wants to organize a meetup, there's always things that they can like find under the WoW Discord.
Do you reward people somehow? Or just, members volunteer to do this?
It's interesting that you bring up rewards because an incentivization system is something that we've been talking a lot about internally. Like, what does our ideal rewards program look like? That's exactly what we're like trying to put into place with Patio. How can we recognize members through badges or through some form of verification that validates that this is what they did? Our existing reward system is not super polished. We're still figuring out what our community needs. And the way we do that is really just by talking to them. When we see community members do exceptional things, though, we do like to DM them, get their address, send them some merch, maybe send them an Amazon gift card and just show that we really do care. But we don't have like a framework in place yet, but it's something that we talk about every single day.
If you were, advising someone who's setting up the reward system, maybe what would be your three key insights or do's and don'ts, that you would say?
Well, I'm not an expert on rewards myself at the moment, so I don't know if I'm fit to give my do's and don'ts. But something that I've realized through all the homework that I've been doing on rewards and incentives is You have to come up with something that's sustainable and something that you can do for a long period of time. Short-term rewards leads to short-term hype, and that's not a sustainable way to build community. Yes, it's a great marketing tactic, but does it serve your long-term goals? So I think it's really important to define what your 1 year, 2 year, 3 year goal is and see if the rewards that you're offering right now are going to sustain your community members' ability to focus and give attention to your community. Like, is it enough? Should you do one big reward at a time or small rewards over a longer period of time? Myself, I'm leaning towards the second one, but it depends on what the goals of your communities are. Because not every community is meant to be a long term community. A lot of people do tinier projects, with a time frame on them, and bigger rewards usually work well for that. But for us, we're thinking of taking like a more of a sustainable approach when it comes to rewards.
Thank you for sharing. To wrap up this conversation about how the World of Women was built, can I ask you about your advice on token gating the community and launching an NFT collection based on like all the experience that you have inside of the project?
Token getting is interesting. I think it's one of the like coolest benefits, I guess, of having a WoW or a WoW. Some of the token gated experiences that we've launched in the past is really the best example is in person events. We had our WoW Gala in December, and we constantly host smaller meetups that only holders can attend. We use tools like Token Proof and Discord's Collabland in order to ensure that, okay, we are providing a token gated experience and not just anyone can join in. Token gating experiences helps improve the quality of them, because at the end of the day, a lot of people come to Web3 because they seek a curated experience. And that's exactly what token gating enables. So at WoW, you go to our Discord, you connect with Collabland or Vulcan, you are granted a WoW holder or a WoW Galaxy holder role, depending on what you have in your wallet. And based on that, you get access to private chats about meetups, about, holders only, where you can introduce yourself, a place for you to drop your Twitter handle, make friends over there. And more than digital experiences, I think token gating is something that we look at more during our physical experiences, because we want WoW holders to feel the whole WoW effect when they go to an in person meetup, right? And the WoW Gala is a wonderful example of it. Our last one was during Art Basel Miami. We had a really good turnout, and we also hosted our first ever WoW awards ceremony where we had 8 categories under which community members nominated each other for certain categories, and we announced our final winners during this. It was a great way to recognize some of our most active contributors and also just, spotlight all the work that our nominees have been putting and dedicate a night to celebrating the community.
I especially like that members were nominating each other. I think this is very special. You could have set it up some other way that you were nominating, or people could nominate themselves, like submit some proof or whatever. But the fact that basically people who know other people in the community, hence the most active, can actually decide who's being nominated, I think this is a super cool thing.
Exactly. And it was a really fun process as well, like as I mentioned, a lot of the members in the WoW community, especially the active ones, they're all friends. The thing that keeps them coming back is not just the brand, but the connections that the brand has enabled for them. And they're also very passionate about giving back to each other, as passionate as we are about providing value to them. The special thing about our community is that they want to provide value to each other, and when that happens, you know that you're doing something right in community building. And I feel grateful to be surrounded by so much good energy, because when you have this good energy, this good vibe, it shows in your social media, it shows through any content that you publish or even through user generated content. And it has a ripple effect in the networks of the members that are engaging in your community. So we have community members, family members asking that, okay, what's World of Women? Their friends asking, or their coworkers asking them, hey, what's World of Women? Because of how actively they talk about us on their social platforms.
Yeah, I noticed that you're covering basically all of the bases where you need to be, right? Discord, Instagram, Medium, you have a newsletter, you have
Everything.
Twitter. Well,
Yeah.
you got it covered. I think that's pretty much everything. That's true.
Yeah, yeah, I think it's harder for smaller communities to be everywhere. You know, we struggle with it as well. So if there's anyone listening to this, like, wow, is on all platforms, but it's not easy for us to do it. We put in a lot of work and a lot of hours to produce good content, but the payoff has been massive. And we want to actually triple down on our efforts and be more consistent and provide higher quality content to the community, but also just to anyone on the internet.
If you were building another female oriented community right now in Web3 space and you needed to choose like one platform you can start with, because you don't have the resources to do all the platforms at once, what would that be? Discord or something else?
I would go with Twitter, to be honest, because what I've realized about Discord is that, like, if I'm building a new community, especially for women, I wouldn't go with Discord because through a lot of my personal experience and through a lot of conversations that I've had with women, they don't love the platform. They think that the UI is really complicated. They think it's confusing. The colors are off putting. There's too many channels. It's not the ideal place for new users because Discord was originally built for gamers, right? So it works really, really well for us. But if I'm doing something new, I would go with Twitter. I would be hosting a lot of spaces. I would be engaging with the top female influencers in the space. I would find ways to provide value to them and create common touch points for the most regular participants, the most regular people who are engaging, like to introduce them to each other and find ways to help them build connections there. I do think it's important for them to come back and gather at one place though. So once you feel like, okay, you've built an audience for your brand, it might be time to look at either Telegram or Discord or maybe even WhatsApp to host your community. You know, WhatsApp is a really interesting one. We've launched WhatsApp groups with Wow for geolocation. So depending on where you live, you can join a WoW community WhatsApp group. Me and one of our other team members, Adelina, manually accept people into these groups because it's easier, right? Like it's easier to chat there, it's easier to send photos and to just communicate in a quicker way. And WhatsApp, I don't think I need to make a case for them. They're so big at this point that it's inevitable for communities to eventually start focusing more on this platform. I do think Instagram is also an interesting one, but it wouldn't be the first, like maybe the second or the third. But definitely start with Twitter because that's where Web3 is. And I think you can position yourself pretty uniquely.
This is insane that you have WhatsApp groups. I would have never thought.
So I have a WhatsApp group for Mumbai, Singapore, New York, Paris, London. I think we have one for Portugal. There's 9 in total, so I'm missing 2. I don't know which ones I'm missing, but we have a lot of WhatsApp groups. And WhatsApp came up with a new community feature recently. So you can have all the groups listed under one main community. So we've been experimenting with it quite a bit, and we're seeing good results in terms of like, members being able to talk to each other on a daily basis, as well as coordinating for things like IRL meetups. Like Discord is hard to look at when you're at an in-person event and there's too many channels. WhatsApp is much easier, right? So we've been using it. We use Telegram as well, but not as much as WhatsApp.
On Telegram, you just have a channel or you also have a group?
We have a Wow Asia group on Telegram, but we haven't promoted it much. It's just like a small little group for now.
What I would also really like to hear from you is just the mistakes that you can potentially do when you're launching an NFT collection for your community and how to avoid them. Maybe you can just name, the few ones you had or you think you avoided.
I think that's a really good question. I am very open to talking about our mistakes because it's always good to be able to share your learnings so that others can benefit from it. I think one of the things that we didn't do enough of is onboarding at the beginning. We now host 2 onboarding sessions every month, and we have an open Calendly link through which our members can book an onboarding session with me or a co founder at the project. But we didn't do this when we launched our second collection. I feel like if we would have hosted a mega onboarding session or a welcome session for everyone that had joined the community, it would have been much easier for them to navigate through it and to understand what exactly it is that we're building and how they fit into the picture of our long term vision. So, definitely not doing enough onboarding, I think, is a mistake that we made. Another one is being a bit too secretive about our plans. Back then, like during the bull market, you've just signed a couple of really cool partnerships and you want to keep things on the low because you think it's the right thing to do in terms of like, you know, making sure that the deal goes well, etc., etc. But I feel like it's okay to build in public a little bit. And we've learned from that now, and we're building our community platform Patio entirely in public. Literally, anyone can create a profile, contribute, and co create this product with us. So, yeah, the second mistake I'd say is not building enough in public and, keeping things to ourselves too much. The third one I'd say is about the pricing, really. It's very subjective to market conditions. So I wouldn't want to comment on that because we can't essentially control the pricing in the open market, right? The market is the market, and supply and demand comes into the picture when you think about what the floor price is now compared to what it was a year ago. But it's a common trend that we're seeing across all PFP projects. There's that tweet that's going viral right now showing how everyone is over 80% down on their bags. But it's a part and parcel of being in the crypto space. And I wouldn't say that we can directly control how the floor price works. We do control our initiatives, our partnerships, our community centric collaborations, but we can't control the effect that they're going to have on the floor price. Yeah, I think one of the things that we could have done better is communicating, like in general, just streamlining communication. Because WoW does so many different things that it's hard to understand what the brand is about at the first glance. Like right now, we're in a much better position. But a year ago, I think it was still a bit confusing where people were like, wait, is WoW an NGO or is WoW like a for profit business? Like, are they building their own metaverse or are they building their own network? Like, brand identity wasn't clear enough at the time. But I think that that's something that we've improved on. So, just communicating and being transparent with the community is always something that's going to reward you in the long term because it makes your holders feel like they're a part of building something bigger than, just a thing online.
It's interesting that all of the things that you mentioned are the things I'm working on currently. Within the community that I work for, I was like, what? We all have the same problems.
We really do. And I'm grateful that you're opening up a space for us to talk about it. I think it's really, really lonely sometimes to be a builder and having communities like community builders also need their own communities. And that's kind of exactly the vibe that we're trying to create at WoW, where even if you work in Web3 or, you're doing this professionally, you still have a space that you can come to and talk about it and talk about the challenges, the benefits, like the solutions that you come up with. It's always good to share what you learn.
It's cool that you mentioned it. We're actually going to be building our own private community around the podcast. I'm thinking Telegram right now, but now when you said Twitter, I don't know, maybe we should explore Twitter communities. Yeah, but I really want this space where people can share cases and tools and, give feedback, share referrals for
Mhm.
people like us who are building communities or who are doing marketing. Because to be honest, when you're a community builder, you can't really say you're not a marketer because sometimes you do
Yeah.
the acquisition, sometimes you do the engagement, you do so much
Yeah.
copywriting and for socials, like, who are you,
You have to do everything, like from writing copy to giving feedback on the design to like posting the actual thing to distributing the content. Community builders are like we wear a lot of hats. Let's just put it that way.
Yeah, that's true. So hopefully I'll be able, to learn from this episode and from your experience of World of Women in general when we're going to be setting up our community.
Likewise, I would love to be a part of the community because I am also leading one of the podcasts that we're doing internally. It's called Wow Wednesday, where every Wednesday we spotlight the top talent in our network. We have a guest on in the same format. We talk about them about their work for 45 minutes. And I would love to join your community and take all your tips and tricks on podcasting because while we have recorded a bunch of episodes, we haven't distributed them yet. So would love to join and like just create some form of cross collaboration.
Awesome, awesome. Yeah, we can definitely do that. It's interesting you mentioned we haven't distributed yet. That's exactly what happened to my first season. We recorded and then I was like, I am dead. I cannot do the marketing anymore. Like
I know what you mean.
all my energy is gone. So a couple of more questions I wanted to ask. You mentioned NFT gating slash token gating of experiences that you have private chats for members on Discord, that you run contests, sometimes, like more casual ones, right? Like meme contests, that you do online events, you do offline events sometimes. What else is there in terms of approaches, mechanics that you use, the key pillars that you use for community engagement and for, internal community growth?
So, our main platform to gather and to incentivize holders, to reward them, and to like really foster that community that we have is going to be through Patio, which is an upcoming platform that we've been working on for almost a year now. There will be more around this in like September, in mid September, I'd say. But currently, we do not have an ambassador program in place. What we do have is a program for organizing meetups and a weekly community spotlight that happens every Wednesday, the thing that I just mentioned. We do have a DAO as well, but it isn't backed by a treasury because we were just experimenting with it and seeing if this is something that the community wants. Like, how many people are we getting to actually join the DAO? How many people are voting on it? Depending on that, we were making a decision on whether to add a treasury or not. To my satisfaction, we are going to be adding a treasury to the DAO, but we just haven't settled on a timeline on when to do that yet. But the goal of the DAO will be to empower creators within the WoW community. So, whether someone wants to do an entire YouTube series about World of Women, someone wants to do a podcast, they would be able to pitch it to the World of Women DAO, and then our community would decide whether they get the funding that they need or not for the project. So it's definitely something that we're looking at, but we are prioritizing building out Patio completely so that we can create a platform where community members can connect, grow, and thrive in a meaningful way.
Is Patio something that you're building yourself internally, like your own tool, or you're using some other tool?
No, we are building it entirely ourselves. We will be using certain APIs. I cannot speak to which ones just yet, but our platform is being built from scratch internally. WoW and WoW G holders can actually like go and create a profile on it right now. It's in beta testing mode. So if you're a WoW or WoW G holder listening to this, or if you're someone that's curious about checking out Patio, just join our Discord, ask a question about it, and one of our community assistants will lead the way and show you the path.
I really want to know like why you're building your own platform, because there are out there mostly for Web 2, right? Where you can like create the profiles and do extra. Something's not available on Discord. Could you like briefly give me one main reason why you're building this platform?
Well, firstly, I want to clear out that we aren't building a competitor to Twitter or Discord. It is a completely separate vision that we can dive into in like another podcast episode. Like, the way we're doing like a WoW episode right now, we could do like a whole other Patio episode. But one of the things that we've seen is that there's not enough levels of customization when it comes to existing community platforms. And we truly believe that opening up our own will allow for us to create more meaningful connections between holders. We've just gotten so much feedback from our community that the thing that they keep coming to WoW for is the network. And we just want to triple down on that and create the best tools possible for members to just get to know each other and to build as many connections as possible.
One last question before I ask you to explain how people can benefit from World of Women and how to join. About the metric, you mentioned that you're tracking the members who are coming to the events, right? So all kinds of like live activities, and you're like tracking how many people are chatting on Discord. Is there something else that's important for you?
Yes, we track how many people are listening to our Twitter spaces. That's a very important metric that we look at because we host at least 2 to 3 of these on a weekly basis. So it's really important for us to check that. We track the open rate of our newsletter because a lot of our members don't use Discord, as I mentioned before. They keep up with World of Women through our weekly updates that we send to their inbox. So we really, really like track that open rate. We track our Instagram impressions, saves, and shares a lot because IG is also a big platform for World of Women. A lot of our initial traction was built on Instagram, especially with influencers. So we're looking at those metrics as well. And I think the fourth one is the amount of reach that we get on our tweets. Like, our people, Web3 especially is all about the attention economy, and that lives on Twitter. So it's really important to us to monitor how many impressions we're getting on our tweets, how many people are, you know, clicking on links that are embedded in our tweets. So those are like some of the top four metrics that we look at besides what you already mentioned.
Awesome. Thank you so much for explaining this. So, to wrap it up, imagine that you're right now talking to all of our listeners who are like Web3 founders, builders, or wannabe Web3 builders, marketing professionals working in the space. Why would they want to join World of Women, what they can get from it, and how to join exactly?
Awesome. So, when you join World of Women, you are joining a community of creators, builders, and artists that care about building an inclusive future. They care about representation and equal opportunities. So, if you're a founder or a builder or a creator that feels like they haven't found that safe space yet to express some of the problems that they're facing, or to talk about the challenges, or to get like someone's thoughts on what are the potential solutions for what it is that you're going through, World of Women is the place to be. And in general, if you feel like you work a lot in the space, but you haven't really built meaningful relationships or meaningful friendships, World of Women is the place to be because it is a community of warm and welcoming individuals that genuinely care about each other. So if you're looking for your safe space on the internet, your little corner in this big digital world, World of Women is here for you. We've got your back. And the way to join is by purchasing a WoW or a WoW Galaxy NFT. You could just join our Discord and feel out the vibes and check it out for yourself before you make that big purchase. But to get access to our events, to get access to the token gated channels, it's always recommended to have either a WoW or a WoW G. WoW is the Genesis membership that we launched 2 years ago, and WoW G is the more recent one. But WoW will always be the premium tier that we have in the community.
Kashvi, thank you so much for sharing all this, all the tips and insights and your advice. I
All
love
good.
doing this episode with you. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited to check out the rest of your episodes and just grateful that you reached out to us to have us on your show. It means a lot.
Thank you. Thank you so much. And
Thank you.
guys, everyone who's listening, I'm encouraging you to join World of Women and see you there. Let's meet on their Discord.
Love that. Would love to see so many of you on our Discord. If you hop in, just you feel free to just tag me and be like, "Hey, I'm here from the Web3 Marketing Podcast," and I would love to interact with you. I would love to, give you an onboarding session if you need it. And WoW is here for you for whatever you need.
Thank you. Thanks for listening. If you enjoyed this episode, like and follow us for more. We also have a newsletter and a Telegram channel. Check it out at web3marketingpodcast.co. See you in the next episode.